Okay, welcome back everyone to another episode. This is episode 4 of Football Weekly. You got your normal hosts, Matt and Riley.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff happening around the world in football and FIFA. So let's get into it.
Alright.
The 83rd minute to give Southampton a 1-0 victory.
The second game of the round was Hull City versus Sunderland at the KC Stadium. Dame Ndoye 15th minute goal put the hosts in front before Jack Rodwell equalised in the 77th minute to grab a point for Sunderland.
Aston Villa then took on West Bromwich at Villa Park. The game ended 2-1 to Aston Villa, with Gabriel Agbonlahor scoring in the 23rd minute before Saido Berahino scored in the 67th minute for West Brom, and then Christian Benteke scoring a penalty in the 90th minute to give Aston Villa a desperately needed win.
Newcastle hosted Manchester United at St James Park in what was a interesting encounter. It wasn't until the 89th minute when Ashley Young scored his first goal in over 12 months to give Manchester United all 3 points.
Then Manchester City took on Leicester City at Etihad Stadium. The game ended 2-0 to Manchester City's favour, with David Silva and James Milner scoring the goals.
West Ham and Chelsea played at the Boleyn Ground. It was a 1-0 victory for Chelsea. Eden Hazard scored in the 23rd minute.
QPR then took on Arsenal at Loftus Road. The game ended 2-1 to Arsenal, with Oliver Giroud and Alexis Sanchez scoring in the space of 5 minutes, and Charlie Austin scored in the late goal, but it wasn't enough for QPR to get any points.
Tottenham hosted Swansea in the game of the round at White Hart Lane. Nasser Chadli opened the scoring in the 7th minute for the hosts before Sung Young Ki equalised in the 19th. Ryan Mason then put the hosts back in front in the 53rd before Andros Townsend increased their lead to 2 goals. Gylfi Sigurdsson got a goal in the 89th minute for Swansea, but it wasn't enough as the hosts ran out 3-2 victors.
Stoke City then took on Everton. The game ended 2-0 to Stoke, with Victor Moses and Diouf scoring the goals for Stoke.
Liverpool and Burnley played at Anfield in a 2-0 encounter. Jordan Henderson scored a really interesting goal in the 29th minute before Daniel Sturridge doubled the lead in the 51st.
QPR then took on Tottenham in Loftus Road. The game ended 2-1, with Harry Kane scoring a double before Sandro was able to get a goal back for QPR, but it was not enough to get any points.
We're going to move on to the La Liga now. Okay, time for the La Liga. In the opening game, Levante hosted Eibar and won 2-1 at home. Daniel Barrel and Kalu Uche scored within 2 minutes of each other after Sal Bergeron Perez put the away side in front.
Deportivo then took on Sevilla. The game ended 3-4 to Sevilla, with Vitolo and Kevin Gamirio scoring the goals for Sevilla. Oriol Riera and Lucas scored for Deportivo before Sydney from Deportivo scored an own goal, which ended up being the winner for Sevilla.
Atletico Bilbao hosted Real Madrid at the San Mames Barria. It was a 1-0 victory for the hosts, a bit of an upset, with Aritz Aduri scoring in the 27th minute.
Elche then took on Almeria. The game ended 1-0 to Elche, with Rodriguez scoring in the 6th minute.
Granada hosted Malaga and won 1-0. It was an own goal from Ignacio Camacho which got them the victory.
Barcelona destroyed Rayo Vallecano at the Camp Nou, with the game ending 6-1 to Barcelona. Luis Suarez scored 2, Gerard Piqué scored 1, and Lionel Messi scored a hat-trick, including a penalty. And Alberto Bueno scored a penalty for Rayo Vallecano, but it was nowhere near enough for them to get anything out of that game.
Real Sociedad hosted Espanyol in a 1-0 victory. Sergio Canales scored in the 38th minute to take all 3 points for the hosts.
Villarreal then took on Celta Vigo. The game ended 4-1 to Villarreal. Giovanni Dos Santos scored in the 41st minute to open the game before Masaccio scored in the 45th minute. Then Augusto Fernandez scored in the 50th for Celta Vigo before Vieto and Moreno sealed the deal for the hosts.
Atletico Madrid hosted Valencia at the Estadio Vincent Calderon. It was a 1-1 draw. Coke scored in the 33rd minute, and Skokran Mustafi scored in the 78th to level the game. Now we're going to move on to the Bundesliga.
Now onto the Bundesliga. Stuttgart took on Hertha Berlin at the Mercedes-Benz Arena, and the game ended 0-0.
Hamburger then took on Borussia Dortmund at the Imtech Arena. and that game ended 0-0.
Freiburg then took on Werder Bremen at the Mage Solar Stadium, and the game ended 1-0 to Werder Bremen with Franco Di Santo scoring in the 35th minute.
Hanover hosted Bayern Munich at the HDI Arena. It was a 3-1 victory for Bayern Munich. The goals came from Xabi Alonso and 2 second-half goals from Thomas Muller. Hiroshi Kiyotaka did open the scoring, though, for Hanover.
Augsburg then took on Wolfsburg at the SGL Arena. The game ended 1-0 to Augsburg with Dominic Kor scoring in the 63rd minute.
Schalke hosted Hoffenheim at the Veltins Arena and won 3-1. Christian Fuchs scored in the 12th minute before Max Meyer scored 2 goals, one either side of half-time. Hoffenheim's goal came from Kevin Volland in the 73rd minute.
Mainz 05 then took on Mönchengladbach at the Kaufhaus Arena. The game ended 2-2 with Jonathan Geese and Shinji Okazaki scoring for Mainz, while Raphael scored both goals for Mönchengladbach.
FC Köln hosted Eintracht Frankfurt at the Rhein Energy Stadium. It was a 4-2 victory for the host. Davison opened the scoring in the 28th. Marcel Rees, Yuya Osako, and Anthony Uja scored in the second half for Köln. Frankfurt's goals came from Alexander Meyer in the 58th minute and a 90th minute penalty.
Paderborn then took on Bayer Leverkusen at the Bentalur Arena. The game ended 3-0 to Leverkusen, with Kyriakos Papadopoulos scoring in the 73rd minute and Heung-min Son scoring 2 goals in the 84th and the 90th to get Leverkusen over the line. Now on to the Serie A. Roma took on Juventus at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome last week, but after we recorded. So we're going to include it in this week's episode. Carlos Tevez opened the scoring in the 64th minute for Juventus before Seydou Keita scored in the 78th minute to equalise for Roma. The game ended 1-1. AC Milan then took on Hellas Verona at the San Siro. The game ended 2-2 with Jeremy Menez scoring for AC Milan and Tashidis scoring an own goal for AC Milan. Luca Toni converted a penalty for Hellas, and so did Nicolas Lopez scoring in the 90th minute. Chievo then took on Roma at the Stadio M.A. Bentagodi. The game ended 0-0. Napoli then took on Inter at the San Paolo. The game ended 2-2, with Marek Hamsik and Gonzalo Higuain scoring for Napoli, and Rodrigo Palacio and Mauro Icardi scoring in the 87th minute.
Toulouse hosted Marseille in the Ligue 1 at the Stade Municipal. It was a 6-1 thrashing of Toulouse by Marseille. Wissam Ben Yedder scored the goal for Toulouse. Marseille's goals came from Michy Batshuayi in the 2nd minute and the 44th minute. Baptiste Allo in the 6th minute. An own goal from Jacques Francois Mubange in the 20th. Andre Ayew in the 78th. And Gignac in the 89th. PSG hosted Lens at the Parc des Princes. It was a 4-1 defeat of Lens. David Luiz scored in the 44th. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored a 60th minute penalty. Matuidi scored in the 80th, and Javi Pastore scored in the 83rd. Johan Tuzga scored in the 69th for Lens. Evian hosted Monaco at the Parc des Sports in Annecy. It was a 1-3 victory for Monaco. Pat Modou Sugu scored in the 79th for Evian. Anthony Marshall's 18th minute goal, Kassim Abdallah's 35th minute own goal, and Alamani Touré's 61st minute goal got Monaco over the line. Saint Etienne hosted Lorient at the Stade Geoffroy Guichard. 2-0 victory for the hosts. Johan Molo scored in the 74th, and Max-Alain Gradel scored in the 90th. In the final game in the Ligue 1, Montpellier hosted Lyon at the Stade de la Mousson. It was a 1-5 thrashing by Lyon. Lucas Barrios did score in the 6th minute for the hosts before Alexandre Lacazette 30th minute penalty and his 90th minute goal. Nabil Fekir scored in the 40th and the 72nd, and Corentin Tolisso scored in the 90th.
Now we're going to look at the BPL league tables, and after this week, hasn't been much movement except for Aston Villa getting out of the relegation zone after their victory this weekend. Liverpool are still pushing for Champions League spot as the top 4 stays the same, with Chelsea having a game in hand above Manchester City, and they are still 5 points ahead. So what are your thoughts on the league table?
Yeah, it hasn't changed much, and the top 5, or top 6 really, are just kind of starting to break away. Southampton's kind of losing pace. Southampton and Tottenham will need to win some more games, like to get into the top 5, but I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, as you said, Aston Villa are out of the bottom. That's good for them, but not good for QPR, Burnley and Leicester, who they all came up this season and they could all be going back down.
Yeah. Aston Villa still do have a chance of falling back down, but hopefully this last week's victory could turn their form and keep them in the BPL for next season.
Yep. Should we start talking about the La Liga table now?
Yep.
And onto the La Liga, Barcelona have moved to the top of the table after Real Madrid suffered a 1-0 loss. They're only 1 point ahead and they've played the same amount of games, but 1 point could be all that matters when it comes to the end of the season. At the bottom, Cordoba, Granada and Almeria are the bottom 3. Levante have moved clear after they won this week. It's not much changed other than Barcelona moving up, which was an important change in the table. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the upcoming El Clasico is going to be a massive game because that may even decide who wins the league. It's coming up end of this month, so that's going to be a great game to watch.
That'd be really interesting.
And Valencia drawing with Atletico Madrid, if they won, they would have put themselves in the Champions League spot.
Instead, it's just opened the gap between Atletico
Valencia,
and Real.
Yeah. Valencia and Sevilla have, clearing a big gap between them, 4th and 5th. Yeah, not much has really changed in the La Liga table, apart from Barcelona moving on top.
Bundesliga.
Now onto the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg are still the top 2, as expected, with Mönchengladbach in 3rd. FVB Stuttgart are still down the bottom, with Freiburg and Paderborn also in the relegation zone. What do you think about the Bundesliga?
Yeah, I think pretty sure didn't Wolfsburg drop points this week?
I think they may have.
Yeah, so I mean it's given Mönchengladbach a better chance at finishing in the top 2, but I still don't see that happening. I think Bayern Munich are pretty safe and Wolfsburg are also pretty safe. Is there a third Champions League spot in the
I'm pretty sure there is.
Bundesliga?
Let me just check that.
So
Yeah, there is.
yeah, Mönchengladbach probably safe there unless Leverkusen could catch, or Schalke are still in the running
Or
for...
even Augsburg.
Yeah, Augsburg, but probably not. But Leverkusen and Schalke probably still fighting out for that third spot with Mönchengladbach.
Schalke are in the current Champions League still, in the round of 16.
Yep.
So yeah, they'll really want that Champions League spot.
They want to keep their spot there.
Dortmund in 10th. Again, pushing towards maybe even a Europa League position.
Maybe. They did suffer a setback this week. I'm pretty sure they lost.
They drew.
Oh, they drew.
Yeah.
So that's damaged their hopes. Their form is still pretty good, but it's not going to be easy for them to make it into the top 5
6.
or 6.
Yeah. I think it's 6, yeah.
Yep. Serie A.
Serie A, yeah.
In the Serie A, not much has changed. With Juventus and Roma drawing last week, they've kept the number 1 and number 2 spots respectively. Napoli are in 3rd, 4 points behind Roma. And down the bottom, Parma drew with Atalanta to move up to 11 points. They still have 2 extra games to play, but they're pretty much going down to the Serie B.
Yeah, like I've said in previous weeks, they don't really have any hope of staying in the Serie A for next season, so they just have to get through this season and rebuild for next.
Yep. What about up the top, Matt? What are your thoughts?
Up the top, I mean, Lazio are still in the running for a Champions League spot, but that won't come easy because Napoli are a great team. I mean, they drew this week to Inter Milan, but yeah.
Who are down in 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, Inter Milan and Milan, AC Milan probably should be doing better, but they're in.
Inter Milan do have some new signings, and they could push for Europa, but it's going to be a tough.
It'll be tough, yeah.
They've been in good form recently, though, so
Yep.
let's see how that turns out.
Liga.
Now in the Liga. Now onto the Ligue 1, and Lyon and PSG still the top 2, with Lyon winning by 1 point, before Marseille follow PSG 3 points behind, which is, they are able to catch up, but, they haven't been in the best of form after Christmas. And then Monaco are in 4th, and St. Etienne 5th. What are your thoughts about the table?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same as it was for like the last few weeks. Down in 7th is Montpellier, who they could have pushed for a high spot. They had a game against Lyon that was like a pretty important game for both of them, and Lyon just dominated. So that's a bit disappointing for Montpellier, but hopefully they'll push up, maybe past Bordeaux and Saint Etienne.
And with Toulouse getting thrashed this week by Marseille, it's really dented their chances of staying in the Liga for next season, which is going to suck.
They're down in 18th, and that's really disappointing. I mean, they are clear of the bottom two, but they're going to need to win to get over Lorient and Evine, who are 17th and 16th. So that's important few games coming up for Toulouse. In the bottom half of the Liga.
They're coming up against Lens next match, and that's going to be a big match for them. They need to win that match if they want to keep up. And they also have Metz coming up in a couple of weeks, so it's going to be another big match.
Hopefully, those two games plus Lorient losing some more games will get them out of the relegation zone.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big fight for them. Shall we move on now?
Yep, let's go. Now we're going to discuss the Champions League fixtures for midweek. First up is Porto hosting Basel. It was a 1-1 last time, but Porto do have that away goal advantage, so they should be favourites, Matt. What's your take on the game?
Well, it's going to be a very even match, and Basel, if they are to score, Porto will need to score 2 goals. So, they're going to really want to be defensive in the first half of the game at least, and just get that goal. Or they may just play it safe and just defend the whole match, because that will get them through.
Yep. Then we got Real Madrid and Schalke. Real Madrid are up 2 away goals. So it should be a pretty comfortable game for them.
Yep, at the Bernabeu.
Yep. So I'd say Real Madrid are pretty safe to be going through to the next round.
Bayern Munich and Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yep. So
they drew 0 last time, so Bayern Munich really need a good performance, because
if Shakhtar Donetsk do get 1 goal, it would give them an away goal advantage, and Bayern would need to score 2 goals to get the lead back.
So there could be a big upset coming up this week.
That'll be an important game to watch, so watch out for that one. Lastly, for this week is Chelsea hosting PSG. Last time out, it was a 1-1 draw, so Chelsea have an away goal advantage coming into this second leg.
They probably will park the bus, as we've seen them do before.
Yeah, but it'll be a really, really interesting encounter, that one. I think both sides could just have equally as good chance of going through
to the next round of the Champions League, and we will see you next week for more Champions League discussion.
Yep.
Now we are on to a FIFA squad review. We will be reviewing mine and Riley's squad in this segment. We are in the start of my squad, and it's in a 4-3-2-1 formation, and it costs around 700k. It's a 3-league hybrid with Ter Stegen in goals, Alba and Pereira as our fullbacks, upgraded Otamendi and Boateng as our centre-backs, Perez, Fabregas and Lam as our 3 central midfielders, Hazard, Cuadrado as our left and right forward, and Daniel Sturridge up front and striker. The squad is around about 700k right now on PlayStation. I don't know what it is on Xbox. And I give it an 8.5 out of 10 because it's won me a lot of games so far in a pretty low division. I haven't been doing too well lately. But now I'm starting to climb the divisions again after building a squad. It's a great all-rounded squad. Definitely recommend it to anyone who has the money to buy it.
Now onto my squad. It's also in a 4-3-2-1 formation, and it is also a 3-league hybrid. I'm not sure exactly how much it costs, but I'm sure you can work that out for yourself if you search it up, all the different players. So starting off in goalkeeper, we have Leno from Bayer Leverkusen. In fullbacks, we have Alaba and Kyle Walker. Centre-backs, we have upgraded Boateng and Vincent Kompany. Then the 3 central midfielders, we have Seri D from Stuttgart in form. Then we have Yaya Toure and upgraded Nemanja Matic. Left forward and right forward, we have Gervinho and Cuadrado. Cuadrado's Chelsea card. And in striker, we have Dumbia's Roma card. The squad is pretty sweaty, but who doesn't love a sweat squad? The heading is also pretty good with Kompany and Boateng and Yaya. But yeah, it's a really good squad for sweat abusers. And I'm currently, like Matt, not in a very good division. I got relegated this morning. I'm in Div 8. But slowly and surely, I will make my way back up to some higher divisions. And I reckon this squad could help me get there.
Div 8's your highest division ever.
No,
Yes.
thank you. I've got
Yes.
to Div 6 before.
Now on to some transfer news, and Isco to Manchester City. City to let go of Samir Nasri to raise funds for an expensive move for the Real Madrid emerging star. The Spanish midfielder has emerged as a star player in the Real lineup of late and is a fan favourite. He would cost upwards of 30 million and will be a challenge to convince Real to sell.
Second news we have is Paul Pogba to Paris Saint-Germain. Reports have claimed that PSG are desperate to sign the prestigious midfielder Paul Pogba in the next transfer window, and reports again claim that he would enjoy living in France again. Also, on that bit of news about Paul Pogba, we have reports in France media suggesting that the PSG have all but completed a deal to sign the UV wonder kid. The French midfielder has been linked with a move to just about everyone, and if he were to go to PSG, it would be quite a surprise.
Next piece of news is Danilo to Manchester United. United to beat the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid to the signing of the Brazilian fullback. United have been planning a move, with the price being a stumbling block. However, United now seem happy to pay the $36 million release clause in his FC Porto contract.
Next, we have New York City boss has declared that he wants to make another star signing by the name of Xavi. The Barcelona legend's time seems to be up at Barca because of Ivan Rakitic taking his starting spot most weeks.
And our final piece of news is Pedro to Arsenal or Liverpool. Premier League giants given a boost in their ongoing chase for the Spanish winger. Barcelona have declared that the bit part player will be sold if either club meets their asking price, which stands at $21 million. And that is it for this week's transfer news.
Now we have the Barclays Premier League saves of the week. And in fifth, we have David De Gea versus Newcastle. It was a lovely save following a header, and he has tapped it with his foot into his hand and around the post. So that was a big relief for Manchester United in that game. Next, we have Tom Heaton versus Liverpool. Saw the ball late and made a lovely diving save to his left to touch it around the post. Then we have Costel Pantilimon for his save, and it was a interesting save. He went crazy after he saved it. He started he was crazy after he saved it. Then we have Mark Schwarzer. He saw the ball late and he dived up to the top left corner and he touched it over the bar, which was a really good save. And the save of the week, Tim Krul versus Manchester United. Lobbed through ball to Fellaini. He shoots. It's blocked away by Tim Krul. Falls to Ashley Young, I believe it was, who had another shot, and Krul saved that before it rebounded out of the penalty area and away to safety for Newcastle. Matt's going to tell us about the goals of the week next.
Now on to the Barclays Premier League goals of the week, and we're going to start off with number 5 with Victor Moses versus Everton with a lovely header from the top of the box, opening the scoring in that game. Number 4 is Henderson versus Burnley with a lovely half volley from the edge of the box to the keeper's left. Number 3 is Nakar Chadley versus Swansea. Danny Rose crossed it into Chadley, who volleyed it to the keeper's right, and it was a wonderful goal. Alexis Sanchez comes in second for his goal against QPR. He cuts in and from a very tight angle puts it past the keeper. And then number 1 is Townsend versus Swansea. He ran the whole pitch, cut it past the defender, and then slams it to the keeper's right. And that's it for goals of the week.
So this week's team of the week is quite an interesting team. There's not as many star players as there usually is, but everyone's deserving of their spot. The keeper is Tyler Derrick from Houston. He made 6 saves in their 1-0 victory over Columbus in the opening round of the MLS.
Now in our 3 centre backs, there is Rose, who was man of the match performance in the game of the round in the BPL, and an important assist as well for Tottenham. Then we have David Luiz, who opened the scoring for PSG in a 4-1 victory. And then we have Kaglamaka, who in the Bundesliga 2 got a goal.
2 goals.
2 goals.
As a right back.
Which deserves a spot in the team of the week.
Yeah, then we've got our 4 midfielders in this 3-4-2-1 formation. We've got left mid Vitolo from Sevilla. He scored 2 goals and possibly an assist or 2. An assist, maybe, I'm not sure. But they won that game 4-3. Then we've got Jordan Henderson from Liverpool for his long shot and also assisting Liverpool's second goal in their 2-0 victory over Burnley. Then we have Fekir from Lyon. He also scored 2 goals and may have got an assist or 2 as well. Not sure about that either. In their thrashing in 5-1 in the Liga. And right mid we got Mohamed Salah, who's on loan at Fiorentina from Chelsea, and he's been in great goal scoring form in the last few weeks and haven't put him in yet. So about time he gets a spot in one of our team of the weeks.
And then our left forward is Rondon from Zenit. He scored a hat-trick in the Russian league and he played at striker. And then our right forward is Luis Suarez, who scored 2 goals in a thrashing for Barcelona, which put them on top of the La Liga table.
Copa del Rey.
And the Copa del Rey.
He scored 1 goal.
He scored 1 goal.
And then our striker is Olivier Ocean from Canada. He scored 5 goals in the first half in the Tippeligaen. And 5 first half goals is outstanding. So
Just 5 goals.
good on him.
Yeah.
That wraps up our team of the week.
And that also wraps up our episode for this week of Football Weekly. Please like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.